Russian front ignites on June 22, 1941. Germany unleashes a blitzkrieg, a lightning war against Russia. Withering artillery barrages and crippling air attacks immobilize the defenders. German panzer armies blast huge holes in the Russian defenses. German armor penetrates 250 miles into Russian territory during the first week of the war. The Russians are wholly unprepared for the German attack. New defenses along the Russian frontier are not ready. Many units have weapons but no ammunition. Some in Moscow refuse to believe the Germans have attacked. Permission to open fire is withheld. Whole Russian army groups are encircled and destroyed by fast-moving panzer units. In the first 100 days of the war, the fires of the front nearly consume Russia. Riga, Smolensk, and Kiev all fall to the Germans. It seems nothing can stop the relentless German advance. 3 million Russian soldiers are dead or captured. Thousands of aircraft and tanks are destroyed. Autumn rains turn the Russian countryside into oceans of mud, which combines with ever-lengthening German supply lines and increasing Russian resistance to put the German invasion behind schedule. November brings freezing temperatures and ground hard enough for cross-country movement. The cold extracts a killing toll on the Germans. Too few winter uniforms are available. No one thought the war would last this long. As the cold intensifies, so does the Russian resistance. Russian equipment is designed to perform in the brutal cold. The Russian T-34 tank keeps moving and fighting in sub-zero weather while their German counterparts freeze up. On December 5th, the Germans suspend their attack within sight of the Kremlin spires. On December 6th, the Russians unleash a counteroffensive and the Germans are sent reeling. The pivotal campaign of the war begins as a drive for Russian oil. But as German armies slice south toward the Caucasus Mountains, German attention shifts from oil fields to the industrial heart of Russia, the area between the Rostov-on-Don and Stalingrad. By September, the Germans reach the suburbs of Stalingrad. As winter descends, the Germans make slow and bitter progress. They fight all day to capture a city block. At night, the Russians infiltrate, forcing the Germans to capture the block again. Russian workers ignore bullets to continue production. Tanks drive out of one end of the factory to join the fighting at the other end. The Russians are driven into a narrow perimeter along the Volga River. In late November, the Russians launch a counteroffensive and encircle nearly 300,000 enemy soldiers in Stalingrad, crushing German hopes for victory. A 2-year trail of destruction stretches from Kursk to East Prussia. By early 1945, 4 Russian army groups are poised to launch the final push to Berlin. Thousands of guns stand ready to fire millions of rounds at the German defenses. Total Russian air superiority makes enemy movement virtually impossible. When the attack is launched, the Germans fight fiercely, even fanatically, but they are overwhelmed by the Red Army's masses. By mid-April, the fighting reaches the Berlin suburbs. For 2 weeks, the Russians blast their way block by block toward the center of the city. Infantry battles house to house. Tanks prowl the streets, and artillery hammers buildings at point-blank range. April 30th, the Reichstag is captured. The sergeant waves the Russian flag from the roof. May 2nd, Berlin surrenders, and the war in Europe is over.